so let's just draw a quick little something. There's 24 foot span. Is the average? All right, let's figure out where 12 is. Yeah, you know it's gonna not work well with a pen. See that? I'm gonna try this fat boy. So this is a standard common tip roof. So there's a hip. Typically you take that span. Minus half of it, or probably more likely to take a span. There we go. Take this span from there to there, minus the ridge thickness. 5 by 2, use your run. This one, I think, pitch as a number 12. So you can take that, you 8 by 12, and then take the arc into that, and that is. But let's just do this really quick with this calculator. 24 feet minus 1 inch 1/2 divided by 2 equals 11 foot 11 and a quarter run. So there's the standard way of writing it, or you could also write it 11, 11, 4. I like this way for calculating on RPN, but people are used to seeing it this way. Run. 8-inch pitch. And then let's just go ahead and get the calculated rise. So this rise is 11 and a half. That rise does not include the height above plate. And so once you add that in, let's say you're using 2x8 rafters, which would be height above plate. Typically, let's see, 2x6, 4 3/8, 2x8, 6 3/8. That's just typical. So you would take this plus this rise, and that would take you to the top of your raft, of your ridge. And then once you have that, you can subtract the material height of the ridge. Say you're using a 2x10, since these are 2x8s, let's just go ahead and ID that. 2x8, dug for number 2. So you'd always make this the next unit lumber higher. So 2x10, 9 1/4. So you would take 7, 11 1/2 plus 6-inch 3/8 equals minus 9-inch 1/4. So your ridge leg 7, 8 5/8. And that would be from whatever elevation the rafters are sitting on. So if it's the wall plate, then it would be the same thing. On a wall plate, a vertical 2x at 7 foot 8 5/8 would be to the bottom of your ridge. So you could actually technically set your ridge at that height right now. The run is from over the outside to the layout. And so you do the same thing. Since this is a common pitch, this is 8 and 12 all the way around, you would come in 11 foot 11 1/4 to this layout right here. Not to the center of it. If you wanted to go to the center of it, you would just take half the span and go half the span. So it equals the same thing. So this thing I don't like about this, you'd have to do a little more work, I guess, to store stuff in memory. But I diverted by trying to get this leg. What I should have done is left everything the way it was. So 11 foot 11 inch 1/4 run, 8-inch pitch diagonal. So there's the rafter, 14 foot 4 3/16, or 14 4 3. And then the hip is, and this is on the diagonal, so 18 foot 7 15 16. So what's nice about that is we can go ahead and just confirm that. We know the rise. We just got to figure out the horizontal diagonal. And so that would be 11 feet, 11 inch, 1/4. Let's see, rise, and 11 feet, 11 inch, 1/4 run, diagonal. So this is the actual diag. The actual hip run is 16 foot 10 and 9/16 hip run. So now you can take that and make that, I don't know how I can take this number and just push run, because see, it goes back to that. So I'm going to clear that and go 16 feet, 10 inch, 9/16 run. Then I'm going to do this rise right here, 7 foot, 11 inch, 1/2 rise, diagonal, 18, 7, and 15 16. So yeah, there you go. We're going to go, all the ones that are runs are going to have square brackets. So as not to get too confused. All right. So that's pretty much given us, we can cut the rafters. We know how high the ridge goes. We have the hips. So this is a common, common, and common. And now we just have to do jacks. And jacks are going to be, and the nice thing is whatever your on center is, they're going to line up exactly opposite of each other. That's one way you can tell if you did them right, is when it's a common pitch, everything lands on these hips opposite of each other perfect. I had a builder one time, we did a 2-pitch roof. I don't remember what it was. It was like 8 and 12 and 12 and 12 or something like that. And he complained that along the hips, the jacks didn't come together, and he wanted them to come together. And I said, that's not doable. He goes, well, it looks like it's wrong. There's no opposing force on the opposite side of the jack. I know. So anyways, I said, well, I can show you what'll happen, because here, let's just put these 2 pens like this. There's the steeper pitch. It's like, well, here, I'll just draw it. So that's what happens. So this would be like a 12 and 12. This would be like 8 and 12. Whoops. 8 and 12. And so if you are going 16 inch on center over here, you're actually going, you're not taking off very much off each one. And so when you're doing 16 inch over here, you're taking off quite a bit more. And so they don't really line up with each other. So I told him, I said, okay, well, if we do this side here, you're going to change your spacing from 16 inch on center to a lot wider to line up with these, if that's what you want. I said, but now you're defeating what the plywood is rated for. You know, anything over 2 feet, you're going to have to go with some kind of massive 3/4 inch plywood or something. Anyways, so it was just interesting because, you know, it's something simple. He didn't know. He's used to seeing common hips, and when he saw like what they call a bastard hip, it spooked him. So, and being a cocky framer back then, I ran my mouth like always. But anyways, so let's do some jacks. So it says jack on center, 16 inch. Yes. The increment, 1'5" and 11/16. Let's keep this on the same page because this will be our smart page. Increment, 1'5" and 11. So they say the longest jack, jack 1. Oh, what the? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, hold on. Let's just do this right because I'm still working with old numbers. 11 foot, 11 inch, 1/4. See what I caught there? That first jack said 17 feet. There's no way, because your commons are 14. It has to be less than 14. So when I did that other set of calculations just to double check this, I was artificially making it too big. 8-inch pitch, diagonal 14.4. Yep. Okay, so now jacks 16-inch. So yeah, see, let's get this right. So this is 174 or 17 1/4. Hit jack again. So they're gonna say 12 foot 8 and 15, 11 1 and 11, 9 6 8, 7 11 1/4, 6 4, almost fat fingered that one, 4 8 13, 319, and 165, and I don't think there's another one. Nope. Okay, so that's what Construction Master says. I'm getting to a point here, sorry. So let's do this on this one here. Because every time I did jacks using Construction Master, they were off just the smallest amount, like 1/4 inch. So as I was decking it with plywood, I would notice that they're off, and it always bothered me. So I just looked into it to figure it out. 16-inch on center, main pitch 8, end pitch 8, span in feet 24 space 0 space 0. That's 24 foot 0 and 0. Ridge thickness 1.5 in inches. Hip valley thickness, we're gonna do 1.5, because that's what, see? Wow, they don't even factor that. Anyways, doing its magic, doing its magic. Okay, ready? Yeah, see, look, it's off already. That's quite a bit. So here's what it is to make it exact. I'll put mine here. 12, 9, 7, 11, 2, 4, 9, 7, that's a 1/2 inch off. 0, 7, 11, 12, 6, 4, 9, 4, 9, 5, 3, 2, 1, 1, 6, 14. So I know people are gonna go like, well, how do you know yours is right and this one's wrong? Well, I'll tell you why. Here's where they go wrong, and here's where I found this. I figured this out back in 1990. You got a ridge, you got an end common. Ridge. You got your first main common. So this equals this equals this. These are the same. Then you have hips going like this, right? With everything all planing up into this little magical little spot. Now, when you hook over here and you go from the face of this one to 16 inches, or let's see, I didn't. There. So you got that, right? All right. Okay, the length from this point right here along this edge is not the, you don't subtract the increment from here to get to here, because you have to do all the theoretical math to the center where a string would be, and what they're not accounting for is the length right here from where the center is to here on the diagonal. It's fine on the horizontal and it works, but it's off because how they factor this out. And I think it's because they just default, they go by the string. So they'll say, oh, your run was here. So now all their calculations are coming from here. And you can't do that. You have to do all the calculations from the theoretical center, because then when this varies, let's say you had 1.5 inch ridge and you had 1.75 inch LVL hip, that's going to change. There's no way to input that data in here. It doesn't have that. So it's just going to go with, oh, you told it, there's your run. You would have to factor, okay, how fat is this on the angle at the diagonal, and then adjust your run just to get these correct. And all it takes is having the variable to enter in the ridge thickness and the hip thickness, so that you can do all your calculations from the theoretical center of everything and subtract off what you're supposed to subtract off. All I can tell you is when I finally figured that out, after scratching my head forever, I was able to cut rafters, stick them in, and then when I ran the plywood in the olden days, I'd come on a rafter and you start in the center here or whatever, and then your next one's 4 feet over, and then you come back and it's off. Like it's either too close to the edge, and it's like all the rafters were aiming the wrong way. And that's when I figured it out. And then I started cutting it with my numbers here in blue, and the rafters came in perfectly true. So that's why I recommend, if you really want precision, you got to do your own thing, because these guys sell calculators the way they are. Most people, 90% of what you need is perfect if this. So I don't think they're going to be in the market of wanting to update or change. So this concludes this video. Hope you enjoyed. Oh, the other thing I want to show you, which this calculator is totally awesome at, same thing. Let's say you had a house that did this, then it did this. So you had a ridge coming like this. You had like a valley and a floating hip to the center. Let's see. Something like that, okay? So there's rafters. Okay, this valley is based off of this span. So this would be the same as cutting a hip or a valley. You would take this span minus this ridge thickness, and it would, whatever that hip valley thing is, that's what that would be. This hip is calculated from the span of this. This floating hip is, you take this span and you subtract, let's see, what I want to get is this. Here, I'm trying to think in my head. You want to get the horizontal length from touching this ridge to touching this ridge. So you could take this span minus, or divide by, or hold on, correction. You take this minus the ridge thickness divided by 2 to get this run. So now you have that run. Then you're going to take this minus the ridge thickness divided by 2, and that will allow you to subtract this. Then you're going to subtract the full ridge thickness to get to the other side of the face of the ridge. And whatever that number is now a run. And then you can do pitch and then do hip val, and you'll actually get the length from touching the face on this side of this one to the face of this one. And there you go. You just measured and calculated a floating hip. So how's that? I'll try and come up with better examples, but I don't know. You know how it goes. If I can do it, I'll try to figure it out.